preach and cuss? Do you have the type of foundation where we club and do church?
Right.
Do you have the type of foundation to where it's okay to do any and everything at any time and you just solely rely on the grace of God? What type of foundation are you setting as a leader? Because whatever foundation you have will be the same foundation that you're going to deposit into the next generation coming up. You have to make sure that your foundation is solid. Now watch this. When it comes to planting a seed, if you plant a seed and you water it and you nurture it, eventually it will grow. No matter what type of seed it is. You must remember, ladies and gentlemen, that whatever you plant eventually will grow.
Yes, sir.
Hear me. Whatever you plant eventually will grow if you water it and you nurture it. The question is, what are you planting? What type of seeds are you planting in the lives of God's people, in your personal life? What type of seed are you planting? The next slide, you see, in order for us to be fruitful Christians, we got to, number one, eliminate the weeds. Eliminate the weeds. Eliminate the weeds. Somebody say, eliminate the weeds.
Eliminate the weeds.
It's very important for us to eliminate the weeds because the weeds can be in your ministry and in your life, and they are things that will hinder or limit your spiritual growth. No matter what type of seed that you may plant, no matter what type of root that you may have, if you have weeds growing on those roots, it'll choke the very life out of it. One thing I noticed about weeds is you don't even have to water weeds. You don't have to nurture weeds. It just comes on its own, and it grows on its own. You don't have to pay attention to it. But you have to pay attention to those weeds because it eventually chokes the very thing that you worked hard for, the very thing that you prayed for. I'm reminded of in the book of Judges when Gideon, the Bible talks about every time during harvest time, that's when the enemy will come and steal all of their crops. Throughout the whole year, I believe in Judges chapter 6, throughout the whole year they would put stuff away, they would plant, and eventually when harvest time came, that's when the enemy came. Not while they were planting, but the enemy came after you've done all the hard work. Then they come and steal everything that you worked hard for. The enemy, 9 times out of 10, always come during your harvest season.
Yes, sir.
When it's time for you to reap what you've sown, that's when the enemy comes. He doesn't care about you planting the seed, but he wants that seed to grow, and then that's when eventually he comes and he's trying to take everything that you've worked hard for. How did you know? He doesn't attack you prior to marriage.
Right. Talk about it, sir.
He attacks you. Once you get in marriage, you're like, man, where did this come from?
Say that.
Before you go to school, you fill out the application, like, man, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do this. As soon as you get in them classes, here comes the attack. Boom. During harvest season is where the enemy attacks you the most, okay? Weeds are the things that choke your relationship to Christ or that prevent you from further growth. If you're not growing as a leader, it's probably because you have some weeds attached to you. These weeds represent people. These weeds represent social media, different associations that you may associate yourself with. You must identify every single weed in your life. This is what I want you to do right now for about 30 seconds. I want you to write down every weed that's in your life right now. Make sure your neighbor not looking at you for this person. Make sure they're not looking at your face. If you have one, if you don't have any weeds, to God be the glory. But I need you to identify every weed that's in your life right now. This weed represents what's choking your life, or it has a possibility to choke your ministry, your relationship, whatever it may be, because you got to eliminate those weeds. It's not going to happen overnight, but you need to start, have a strategic plan and start the process, okay? Start the process and come up with a strategic plan. Okay? Another thing is, while you're writing that down, you don't have to cultivate weeds. And for those of you that got cameras, phones, you don't want to write too much, feel free to just take it. You don't have to cultivate any weeds. In fact, that's the difference between a weed and a vegetable. Even though you feed, water, and cultivate a vegetable, sometimes it still dies. Pay no attention to a weed and it still grows.
If you don't water your fruit, you don't water the vegetable, and all that other type of stuff, or you may be watering it, it still may possibly die. But a weed, you ain't gotta water it. You ain't gotta place it in the sun.
Oh, that's good.
It's still going to grow. There are some things in your life that's growing and you're not even nurturing it. You just probably haven't properly dealt with it. Somebody say deal with the weeds.
Deal with the weeds.
Deal with the weeds. The next slide here. Next slide here is cooperate with God's pruning in your life. Okay? Cooperate with the pruning in your life. Because there are some things in your life that God has to prune. Whenever you look at a tree, there's a pruning season. As leaders, we think because we preach, we teach, or even in the business world or whatever, we feel like because God is on our side, we're not going to go through any seasons of pruning.
Yes, sir.
Can anybody tell me what pruning is?
The cutting away.
The cutting away. Okay? Don't think as a leader that you're not gonna have your seasons. I was looking at a video that Pastor Michael Johnson posted, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, with Bishop James Ray Taylor, and he talked about Timothy. When Paul was talking to Timothy, he told him, he said, you got to be ready in season and out of season. Talking about that pruning stage. You have to constantly be ready. As a leader, you will go through some seasons where you feel like you're being cut.
Yes.
But you still got to bear fruit in that season.
Speak that.
Okay? You still got to bear fruit in that season. I'm reminded of the parable when Jesus went and he cursed the fig tree. The Bible tells us that when he cursed the fig tree, the disciples said, Lord, why in the world did you curse this fig tree? You know, why did you do that? Why? Because in those days and times during Easter times between April and May, the trees wasn't supposed to bear fruit anyway. They wasn't supposed to bear fruit during that season. So they told Jesus, why in the world did you curse this fig tree? It's not the season for it to bear fruit. Why are you looking for fruit? Here's a revelation. Jesus was saying, I don't care what season you're in.
Right.
You still have to bear fruit. As a leader.
Yes, sir.
No matter what season you may be in a season of trial and error. You may be in a storm. You may be experience divorce, foreclosure. Your season does not excuse you from bearing fruit. You have to bear fruit at all times. And I'm not just talking to y'all, but it's us. I've been in some seasons in my life where I was just like, you know what, God, just give me a break because what I'm going through, you should understand. I'm struggling right now. God said, no matter what season you're in, you have to bear fruit. How many of us, when we at the top of the hill, it's easy for us to bear fruit.
Yes,
Everybody's with us. You got the support. You got the resources. You got the financial resources. Your co-laborers is there keeping you accountable. I can bear fruit in that season. But what happens when everything dries up? When you lose all your friends. When you apply to school and they deny you. When you try to do right, but evil is always present. Can you still be fruitful? Were you fruitful this morning when you was on your way here and possibly somebody cut you off and you probably went off? You got to bear fruit in every season. Somebody say bear fruit in every season. In every season we got to bear fruit. Okay? That pruning stage. Pruning not only involves cutting off dead branches, but living ones as well in order to improve the shape of the plant and stimulate the growth.
Right.
In order for God to grow you, in order for you to be fruitful, I have to shape and mold you, meaning I have to cut some stuff off of you so I can shape you and so I can have the new growth come in. For my women in here, especially Ophelia, you deal with hair and makeup and all that type of stuff. That new growth when it comes in, you don't want the new growth growing on top of the old stuff. Most beauticians tell you, hey, I'm sorry, but I got to trim your hair in order for this new growth to come in. Why? Because you want it to come in healthy. Allow God to properly prune you, okay? Pruning is essential for increased productivity. Watch this. It's not optional. You cannot escape the pruning season. If you're going to be productive in ministry, God will put you through times of pruning. Okay? And when you go through your times of pruning, watch this. This is not the opportunity for you to bleed out on the people that you're leading. Go to somebody that you're in covenant with and say, man, I'm sure. Michael Johnson called me all the time. He never talked about me preaching. He never talks about where I'm at. Right. Man, how is your life?
Right. Yes, he does.
Man, how's your daughter? How is your wife? Yeah. Because when you have accountability, in our generation, we switch accountability with judgment. Right. We don't know the difference.
Say that.
You judging me. No, it's accountability.
Yes, sir.
If I'm covenant with you, I ought to be able to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
Amen? Amen. Who's in your life that's keeping you accountable?
Who's looking at the book?
Who's looking at it? Yeah. Okay? Accountability is very, very important. Okay? I'm going to stay on this pruning just for a little while longer. I like this pruning. I like this pruning. God prunes you for fruitfulness. In your life, it's not only the dead wood that God cuts off, He also cuts off back areas of success. Even areas that are bearing wonderful fruit.
Teach us today.
Sometimes, what do you do when God has to prune the very thing that brought you success?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you still bear fruit?
That's good.
I'm reminded of my boy Michael Johnson. I have this service every year. It's called Fatal Attraction. And I think I did it 3 years now. And the whole scope of the service is basically some of us in the body of Christ are physically, mentally, spiritually, we are attracted to things that has the potential to become fatal. So I have a service called Fatal Attraction. And so I've been doing it for the last 3 years. Michael Johnson said something very important at the last Fatal Attraction. He said, if you guys basically remain fruitful, why do you need another Fatal Attraction service? Wow. See, some of us, we keep having these services because it's on our yearly calendar.
Come on, God.
That's good.
It's an annual thing.
Come on.
This is what we've done. This is what grandmama did. This is what mama did. Right. So I'm going to uphold the tradition. Right. If people know that there's always going to be a Fatal Attraction service, sometimes you got to be very careful, because psychologically some people say, you know what, I can just do whatever I want to do because I know Fatal Attraction is coming and I'm going to get together at Fatal Attraction. What if there's another Fatal Attraction service again? Will you still be fruitful? We cannot keep having services because it's something that we put on a calendar. There's a service right now in your church that God is no longer connected to, but you're connected to.
It's a couple of them.
God is no longer connected to that conference. He's no longer connected to that revival, but your family is. Your tradition is. I'm going to get in trouble. The deacons are. And God is saying, hey, hey, free will, you can have the service, but I'm not connected to that. Being fruitful does not mean keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Sometimes God will prune the very thing that you're successful at. Because I need something bigger, I need something greater, I need something better. If you are successful in something and God strips you of that, it's not because it wasn't working. God is saying, there's another level. You're getting too comfortable right here. Sure. There's another level. I think me and Mike been talking about Elder Mark Moore all week long. He had young leaders a year and a half ago. I mean, I think the room is the size of this room right here that fit about 200-300 people. God pruned him from that. Cut that off. Don't have it for another year. 2 years later, now he got almost over 1,000 people now. He got the likes of E. Dewey Smith, Marvin Sapp, Pastor John Hanna, people from all over, because God was pruning him. And in that pruning season, this is not the time for you to complain. Because remember, it's not the time for you to murmur. And not the God, why this, why that, why? Because we got to practice what we preach. When your people that you're teaching are going through trial and error, we constantly tell them, man, why you act, man, you know what the Bible said. No weapon formed against you shall be able to prosper. If you suffer just a little while, then I'll establish you. We say all these things to the people that we lead, but when it hit us, we get amnesia.
Yes,
right. Yes. We forget all the Bible scriptures.
Right.
We forget all the prayers that we pray. We forget all of that. Can you minister minister to yourself. David learned, he said, I've learned how to encourage myself.
Yep.
What does that mean? If Jason Lewis never called me, if Michael never called me, if my church never have another conference call prayer on Monday nights, if they never send me 50,000 texts, if I don't have a daily devotional in my phone every day to remind me to read my word when I say I'm a Christian, can I still be faithful to God?
Yes, sir.
Because all the stuff that we need and depend on today, they didn't have any of that stuff in a former generation.
Right.
And a generation before that.
Right.
We have become so in love with how we worship opposed to who we worship.
Come on. That's good.
We don't have lights, we don't have fog, we don't have lyrics. This church is dead.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If we don't have praise dancers waving flags,
Yes, sir.
doing praise and worship, and they're not dancing in tights, and we don't, this is dead here.
Right.
If we don't have coffee and milk prior to
That's
service,
okay.
and we don't have donuts and all that type of stuff before service, we can't eat and be taught. This is not good. Don't condition your people to love how we worship. Condition them to fall in love with who we're worshiping. All the other extra stuff, all the other nuance, that's just extra stuff. Because when we get in heaven, you're not going to be worried about stage lights, fog machines, ushers, and all that type of stuff. You're in the presence of God.
Yes, sir.
Amen. Somebody say, are you in the presence of the Lord?
Lord.
Here's another thing. You got to wait for the harvest. Okay? Somebody say, wait for the harvest. I'm speeding through this so I can get done in about the next few minutes. Growing fruit takes time. If you don't remember nothing else I said today, growing fruit takes time. You do not plant a seed and then you got fruit tomorrow. It doesn't come automatically. You don't plant a seed in the ground and harvest it the next day. My generation, our generation, is one of the most laziest generations.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It's
sir.
a popcorn generation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You want to just get in the microwave and then pop, you're successful.
Say that.
You want to just overnight, you just an overnight sensation.
Right.
No done.
It takes time. God may give you an awesome vision, but it may not be able to manifest to 2022.
That's right.
Will you still be faithful in that?
Amen.
I don't mean to put my brother on blast. He'll keep later. My boy, Pastor Jason Lewis. It's been in his heart to have a preacher's conference. We've been talking about it now for about 90 years. Before Christ, we've been talking about it. It's after death, we still talk about it. But it's been on his heart to do that for a very long time. That's a vision that God gave him. But because he's mature, he knows it don't happen like overnight. I'm looking at my boy, Minister Alexander James, an awesome poet, but didn't have the exposure as everybody else. He served PCM faithfully
Yes, sir.
every year,
Yes, sir.
faithfully. And just last year, he finally got on the main stage. That's good. But he knew that if I could just bear fruit during my season of process, when I get to my season of harvest, can't nobody take that away from me. Why? Because I've worked hard to get there. I've waited, I've served, I've loved, and now I'm at this point in life. You see Alexander James all over the place. I mean, he's everywhere ministering the gospel of Jesus Christ through spoken word, and he doing spoken word and he preaching. I mean, he's a man of many talents and gifts. We thank God for him. So wait for the harvest, ladies and gentlemen. And this is my last point. The reason why you got to wait for the harvest, this is my last point, is this. And I want you to write this down, okay? The fruit in your life is what everybody else is going to taste.
Good word.
My last point. The fruit in your life is what everybody else is going to taste. If I was to take a bite off of your life, will it be sweet or sour? Will I end up sick? Will I have to call off work for 3 days? Because of food poisoning. The fruit in your life is what everybody else takes. The fruit is not for you. Remember, as ministry workers, it's not for you. It's for the people that you lead and the people that you serve. What is people tasting out of you? After they eat from your fruit, After they eat your fruit, will they come back for more? What we get mad is, oh, the spirit of rebellion is on you, rebellious, you rebellious, you know. Your fruit is nasty. Your fruit is not right. You serving me uncooked meals. They're not thoroughly cooked. What type of fruit are you bearing? Should people want to come and follow you? Why should they follow you?
Right.
Attracting people is easy, but keeping them is the hard part. If you don't taste good, folk ain't gonna stay.
Wow.
I'm not talking about looking good, wearing suits and Stacey Adams and Ferragamo belts. That's cool. But if your lifestyle is not right, it's contrary to the word of God, you got a sour taste. I've been around some of the greatest preachers in the world, but their integrity is ferocious. And as leaders, you want to make sure you don't want nobody to say, man, I know Adi Diggs, but once they put that but on there, yeah, Adi Diggs, that's my boy, but God, he's highly educated, got more degrees than Phoenix, Arizona. You know, it's hot out there. It's 130 degrees out there right now. He got more degrees than that. But you don't want to have that but there. Don't get me wrong. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory. None of us are perfect. But you don't want to have that track record of deliberately where you just loose and do not care. That's sour. I've learned even kids wouldn't even want to eat from your table, and they eat almost everything. They gonna try everything. I propose this question to you, ladies and gentlemen. What type of fruit are you bearing? Watch this. Would you want to sit under you? Yeah, that's good. If you was to serve yourself, would you eat from your table?
Wow.
Would you want to sit and listen to you? Can you learn life skills from you? Can you learn integrity from you? Can you sit under yourself? Glean from your life? You want to be able to answer that question. Because watch this. If you don't want to follow you, why should anybody else follow you? And why should you make somebody else follow you? If you don't like yourself, why should anybody else like you? If you know you're not bearing good fruit, you cannot say you got good fruit and people get in your life and it's rotten. That's false advertising. You get sued for stuff like that. Albertsons, y'all said y'all had good fruit. It's fresh. I done bid it. Now that's a lawsuit. Don't false advertise your ministry. Don't try to be something that you're not. Jason always tell me, he said, bro, are you trying to preach? Or are you trying to be somebody? And what he always say. It's what y'all say, Doctor, you trying to preach or you trying to be somebody? If you're going to be a leader, be a leader.
Yes, sir.
And embrace, not just accept. Because most of us accept the responsibility. Okay, I'm a leader, I got to act right, I got to accept it. No, embrace the responsibility. There's a difference. I embrace the responsibility, meaning I love this responsibility. I talk to my bro all the time. If you got to know, I mean, we can do a lot of other things, but I know I was called to do ministry. I embrace it. I play basketball, I play football, administrate all the other types of stuff, do media, but I know ministry. Some people learn it, some people was born for it. Right. I was born to do ministry. And there's a lot of us in this room today that was born to do ministry. My good brother, the Right Reverend Elder Cecil Thompson, was born to do ministry. So bear fruit, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's going